I'd like to welcome all our candidates tonight and everyone in the audience. We will start with Kara Hall, who's a member of Mint Hill Women's Club and former president of our club. She will review the rules and expectations of the forum. And one more thing, if you could silence your cell phone so they don't go off in the middle of somebody talking or in the middle of the meeting. Thank you. Carol.
Thank you for coming tonight, and thanks Marilyn and the candidates for coming as well. The Mint Hill Women's Club is pleased to present tonight's Meet the Candidate Forum so that we can all be informed voters in the upcoming election. We invited 9 candidates running for mayor and commissioner in Mint Hill, and all of them are here. We will elect 1 mayor and 4 commissioners for 2-year terms. When voting, please be aware it's also important to review the candidates on the Mecklenburg County School Board for the at-large seats. This year, 3 of the 9 members of the school board will be elected for 4-year terms, and there are 13 candidates running for those 3 seats. The election of these school board members will impact the future of the Mint Hill schools. The general election is on Tuesday, November the 5th, and county-wide early voting is from Monday, October 21st through Friday, November the 1st. If you haven't silenced your phone, please do so now. The first part of our forum is for each candidate to talk for up to 2 minutes. Candidates, please speak into the microphones. Our timekeeper, Paige McKinney, will be giving you cues to help you watch your time. When she holds up a yellow card, you have 1 minute left, and when the red card is raised, the time is up. If you're speaking when the red card is shown, please conclude your comments. After all the candidates have spoken, we will transition to the second part of our forum. Written questions were collected from the audience, our website, and Mint Hill Women's Club members. Candidates will have up to 30 seconds to answer, and Paige will show the red card when time is up. A different candidate will begin answering each new question. If the audience has additional questions or comments for the candidates, please meet them one-on-one in the lobby after we conclude the forum and have drawn the raffle winners around 8 o'clock. Mint Hill Women's Club appreciates support from the League of Women Voters of Charlotte-Mecklenburg. Please welcome our forum moderator and their president, Dolores Johnson-Curtin.
Good evening, everybody. I'd like to thank the Mint Hills Women's Club for inviting me to again moderate this nonpartisan candidates forum. As many of you know, the League itself is a national nonpartisan political organization that encourages informed and active participation in government and processes such as tonight's forum. Carol has explained to you how this forum will work, so let's start now with the candidates giving their 2-minute introductory statements, starting with Richard Newton for mayor.
Thank you. Thank you to the Mint Hill Women's Club for hosting this time-honored town tradition. I love Mint Hill. Almost 30 years ago, when my wife and I moved to Mint Hill, it was a sleepy town. We built our house, started a family, joined the church, and watched the town grow. I believe in giving back to my community, and I truly am a public servant. I have spent almost 2 decades in local public service. I just recently retired, but before I retired, I began thinking about how I could continue to serve my community. Running for Mint Hill mayor was the next logical step. I am just finishing up my 6th year as a town commissioner. Before that, I served in the 2000 and 2011 10-year plan and spent 2 years on the Mint Hill Planning Board. I am heavily involved in my church, Philadelphia Presbyterian Church. I was a deacon. I am an elder now. I was 20 years on the Buildings and Grounds Committee. I coached the girls' basketball team, and I supported church chapter, Boy Scout and Girl Scouts, and the youth group. I'm involved in my community, member of the Mint Hill Masonic Lodge, member of the Mint Hill Lions Club, member of Mint Hill Historical Society. I spent 34 years calling on Lowe's corporate office. All of those years was calling on the corporate office except for 3 years. 3 years I was a sales rep. I moved up a couple of times near that in my position. I called on Valspar, my dad was the national sales manager.
Mr. Newton, I'm sorry, your time is up. If you would please pay attention to our timekeeper over here. She will hold up a yellow card when you have 1 minute left and a stop red sign when you have the next. Okay, Brad Simmons, please go.
Thank you very much. Good evening. I'm Brad Simmons. I'm the candidate for mayor in the great town of Mint Hill. Over the last 35 years, I've been fortunate enough to raise my family here in Mint Hill, build a successful business here in Mint Hill, and serve the community here in Mint Hill. I believe that leadership has to do with serving others before self, and I believe that it also involves leading as an example. I strive to hold those standards in my daily life. I work diligently in Mint Hill to support small businesses, and I'm very active in the community and civil organizations. I've felt a strong calling to serve the citizens of Mint Hill over the years, and would be very humbled to serve as the mayor of Mint Hill. My experience that I just listed in all those positions as husband, father, grandfather, business owner, community advocate, paired with my commitment to faith, family, service, and small business, has equipped me with the ability to make informed decisions and build collaborative partnerships. I'm dedicated to keeping the town of Mint Hill the great town I've always known it to be, and I believe with my experienced intentional leadership and the support of this amazing community, it will only get better. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Simmons. Now we're going to hear from Troner, is it? Troner, thank you so much.
Good evening, neighbors, and thank you for coming out. Thank you to the Mint Hill Women's Club for sponsoring this forum. My family and I moved to Mint Hill 13 years ago. We fell in love with the quiet, well-kept streets, the 2 beautiful parks, the friendliness of the people that we met, the manageable traffic, and the easy commute into Charlotte. I'm running for mayor because Mint Hill is a wonderful town in need of new leadership and new ideas. The past administration governed well for the town that Mint Hill used to be, a quiet residential bedroom community of a small southern city. But just as Charlotte is no longer that small city, Mint Hill is no longer that hidden little town. I don't need to tell you how Charlotte's growth is impacting Mint Hill. What used to be a 5-minute drive is now a 10-minute one. Crime has increased, construction is on the rise, and we're losing our trees and farmland as new neighborhoods take their place. However, with the right management, Mint Hill's growth can provide great opportunities. Our economy could really boom with careful planning and the establishment of an economic development board whose responsibility would be to search out and recruit businesses and restaurants to establish here, where they pay taxes and provide jobs as well as offer more shopping and dining options. I believe a town of our size needs an official Parks and Rec department. By offering exciting new amenities and family-friendly recreational opportunities, we'd be able to take advantage of local entertainment options. I'm also a big believer in transparency in government. This room is equipped to live stream government meetings, and all official town meetings should be, at the least, taped and available online. Your elected officials should hold regular office hours and encourage interaction with residents, informed and involved citizens benefit the entire town. I'm running for mayor because Mint Hill's future is bright with possibilities. I believe you need a mayor with vision, someone not anchored to making decisions based solely on continuing the way things have always been done in the past. I think I'm the best candidate to optimize the town's potential, and I will be honored to receive your vote on November 5th. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Trauner. Now we will move on to those candidates for commissioner. And we're going to start with Beverly Kennedy.
Hello, my name is Beverly Kennedy. I'm a native Charlottean. I've chosen Mint Hill as our home for the last 30-plus years. We've raised our children here, and was a reason I fought very hard to see that our bond money was used for Mint Hill schools and growth, and then also to make sure Mint Hill students got to go to Mint Hill schools. I have two children, Clint and Cody. We're a family of pilots, private pilots, and we've grown up through Wilbrow Airport. Both of my children, one is now in the Air Force and the other is in the private industry, aviation. I'm running for town commission because I believe in smart growth, low taxes, the safety of our citizens, whether it be through the fire department, the medic, or the police, and each of those are important to me. So I thank you, and I would appreciate your vote.
Thank you, Ms. Kennedy. Now on to Mike Cochran.
Thank you very much. I'm one of the most blessed people in this room. I was born in Mint Hill, and I seen Mint Hill when it was 1,700 people and not 28,000. So God really has blessed me. That's the other thing about me. I want to tell you now that I do love my Lord, and decisions I make, I do pray about, and I'm going to pray about every decision that comes about for this town right along with my life. Now, I will tell you this, I went to Bain School, Bain Academy, went to Independence High School, graduated from there. I went to college in Georgia for a couple of years, and then came back to Charlotte and was in military service. That's the only time I've been away from Mint Hill. And I've grown to love the people in Mint Hill, and I'm not a politician. Here I am sitting up here as a commissioner, and I'm more of a public servant than I am a politician. I've been in the Lions Club for 40 years. I'm a long-standing member of the Lions Club. Started a Rotary Club in Mint Hill, president and secretary of the Rotary Club. Started out with the Business Association. Mickey Ellington's there. He and I were both president of the Business Association, was the predecessor of the new chamber. When we formed the chamber, I was on the board of the chamber there. I like to see some things, and some things in the future to be done, have some distance like Highway 51. That's 5-6 years in the future. Nothing wrong with planning for it now, but we have some very close things that need to be handled, such as we have a great fire department, police department, rescue squad. But some changes have come about. What we need to do is be sure that we have the same protection and service for our citizens in Mint Hill that we've always had. We've got a great police force and fire department now, our EMTs, which has been changed to medic, and they're doing a good job. These are the kind of things we want to continue to see happen in Mint Hill, right along with finishing our sidewalk projects and taking care of being on the new parks. Go out and vote on November the 5th, and I ask for your vote. Mike Cochran, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cochran. Now on to Dale Dalton. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, my name is Dale Dalton. I'd like to thank all the citizens of Mint Hill who came out tonight to learn and to meet the candidates in this forum. Thank the Women's Club of Mint Hill also. I'd like to thank my wife, Pamela Dalton, my biggest supporter and stood by me. We have one daughter, Jessica, who recently married last year to Richmond, Virginia. We lived in Mint Hill for 9 years. Moved a long ways off from here. We were just across the line at Butch Crossroads for 21 years. So for about 30 years we've been in the Mint Hill community. I'm an active member of the Hickory Grove Baptist Church, where I serve as a decision counselor. I'm a member of the Masonic Lodge, where I serve as a past master. I'm a member of the Historical Society as a board member, and also a member of the Lions Club. I'm finishing up my second term of which will be 4 years, and when re-elected, This will be an extremely young board. I will be one of the most experienced of 4 years. So this is a very young board that will be coming on term. We all love this town, we wouldn't be here. My gift and passion is serving others. I try to attend every single event that's in town. I go to all the ribbon cuttings, the chamber events, the family fun nights. I go to all the committee meetings. Best thing you can do to be involved is just be in town, go to the restaurants and listen and talk to the people. Thank you so much, and I appreciate your vote on November 5th.
Thank you, Mr. Dalton. Now on to Jesse Healy.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. Everybody can hear me. My name is Jessie Healy, and I'm running for Mental Commissioner. And I was inspired to run by Tina Ross. I've always been very civically minded, and when we moved here about 5 years ago with my husband and my 2 daughters, I saw her and I thought, there's someone I can look up to. There's someone that I want to be like. And I started to get to know her a little bit, and when we tragically lost her, I thought, well, goodness, I wasn't ready to do this yet. And so, but I thought there was no one filling her void. There's such a void in our community without her here. And that's why I'm running. I want to try to help fill that void and be the communicator that she was. I'm a small business owner here in Mint Hill. I run a social media management business, so I'm no stranger to communications. I have a background in journalism, and I have a rich background in volunteering with the Army, in volunteer leadership. I ran a VFW Ladies Auxiliary. I was in Spouses Club. I was part of our family readiness group. It's not unusual for me to step in and step up, and I feel like Mint Hill needs someone to step in and step up, someone that maybe is a little newer and a little younger with some fresh perspective. I love this town, though. I don't want to come in and change everything. I want to help us keep what's so great about us, our small town feel, as we continue to grow alongside one of the largest cities in America. I believe in working together, whether I agree with people or not. I believe that we all hear and we all want the same things, and I believe in communication and transparency.
Thank you, Ms. Healy. Mr. Holton, you're up now.
As everyone said, thank you for everybody for coming out tonight. Thanks to the Women's Club for hosting this. This has been a very humbling experience thus far. The question I get asked the most is, where do I come from? And I grew up in Charleston and joined the military, bouncing around a lot in the military, and met my wife after that when I was working for Pepsi Cola, and we looked for somewhere to plant roots, and Mint Hill is where we ended. And we love it. It's been great to us. We've invested in Mint Hill. A little over 2 years ago, we bought the Wolf and Hoof right here in downtown. So, you know, if there's one thing you need to know about me, if I join something, if I'm in it, I'm in it. You know, I've got planted in with buying that business. I have a vested interest in the direction of this town and the way it's going. I've joined the Chamber of Commerce, and when I joined that, I didn't just join. I became an ambassador to help other local businesses within this town. I'm excited for the opportunity to help come out and support the citizens and be a voice, maybe a new voice. That's what I've told people all along is 6 days a week I'm at that store. I can't run and hide. Come and see me. So that's me, Patrick Holton. Appreciate your vote November 5th. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Holton. Last but not least, Tony Long.
Thank you all for being here tonight, for taking your time and participating in our republic, and that's what we need. Thank you to the League of Women Voters for orchestrating it to the benefit of all of us. I live here, I work here, I serve here. As Patrick said, I'm available basically 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I serve on the town-appointed Quad, which is an economic development consortium with Indian Trail, Matthews, and Mint Hill for the last 4 years. I've served 15 years on the Mint Hill Planning Board. It's been quite a blessing to learn some of these other faces on that board. I currently serve on the Chamber Board as the past president. I serve as the Lions Club Services. It's a vocational rehab center on North Tryon Street. I'm currently the president of that board, where we employ about 200 people. I teach during the year at a vocational school here locally, driver's education. Very interested in, my first thing would be our public safety. Fire and police and the safety of our community as we grow with rooftops, there are gonna be challenges, and we wanna address those. And with those challenges, the education of our youth, because as you can see, I'm probably one of the older ones up here, but our youth is what matters in this community. We have great parks, and I know they're expanding, and we need that for recreation for all of our family activities. Thank you for all being here tonight. I would ask for your vote on November the 5th.
Thank you very much to all the candidates. I want to thank the Mint Hill Women's Club for allowing you a good 2 minutes to explain who you are. Oftentimes, candidates forums don't allow that much time. Now, though, we're going to get into 30-second answers. And so you're going to have to speed it up, okay? Now, I must also tell you that these are questions that were submitted by voters here in Mint Hill and also organized by the Mint Hill Women's Club. So Mr. Long talked about education. The first question is this. There is talk about Mint Hill moving out of the Mecklenburg school system. What are your thoughts about this? We'll start with Mr. Newton first.
As far as I'm concerned, we have some good schools here locally now. We do have a charter school and a charter high school. The schools are good. I think the only thing that people dislike about the schools here now are that we get pushed into one school here in town that it's a town, in the town of Mint Hill, and it's a high school, and we don't have any students going there. I think that's one situation that we need to look at.
Thank you very much. Mr. Simmons.
I believe with what's going on in our schools currently, as far as our relationship with CMS, I think that's one of the first things that we need to try to mend. Although we did not have a committee do the study on the House bill that a lot of the other towns did, I think we find the same results that Cornelius just found, and it would be too expensive for us to start our own school system. So I think the first thing I'd do is go to CMS and see if we couldn't get them to back off a little bit on the Municipalities Concerns Act that they just recently passed.
Thank you very much. Ms. Trauner.
I've done a tremendous amount of research into the school system. I've spoken to a lot of people, including Bill Brawley for 2 hours on the phone, who created HB 514 and various school committee members and everything. I don't think it's fiscally possible for us to start our own system or even in conjunction with Matthews. We do certainly have to repair our relationship with CMS, which was damaged by our inclusion in HB 514. And it would be nice if the school system got more money from Raleigh. That would help.
Thank you, Ms. Trauner. Ms. Kennedy.
Yes, this has been one of the things I've worked really hard for as a parent in the past. While it is best if we could stay with CMS, we have to make sure that the needs of our town are met. And bond money that often is told us that will be spent here is not. And we've had to fight that for some period of time to get the money to come to Mint Hill schools and to serve our area where not just certain areas were getting it. And so if we could work with them, that would be great, but if not, then we have to look at alternatives.
Thank you. Mr. Cochran?
Well, probably gonna have to echo some of the answers that were just given. I think we need to mend our relationship best as possible with CMS schools. My children have all gone to CMS schools in the past. I went to CMS schools, but as time goes on, we've got some nice charter schools here now, but we found out it takes time, effort, money, bond money to build schools. If we can just somehow get with CMS and work together instead of getting into a wrestling match about if you're going to do this, if you're going to choose this, and we're going to not do this. But I think we can mend our relationship with CMS schools and turn out to be a lot better.
Thank you, Mr. Cochran. Mr. Dalton?
Yes. I think the biggest thing we need to do is, was brought up earlier, we need to learn who's running for our school board, spend some time, do the research, and when we elect our new board members, I don't see Mint Hill ever having its own school system. The cost would just be, there's just no way we could afford that. Our taxes would just be completely out of line.
Thank you, Mr. Dalton. Ms. Healy?
I definitely think CMS is too large. As a school system, it's just trying to serve too many children, and it's difficult to do that. While it would be wonderful for Mint Hill to have their own schools, it would be very expensive, even if we went in conjunction with other towns. So I would like to work with both CMS and Raleigh to maybe break up the school systems a little bit or come up with a better solution.
Okay, on to Mr. Holton.
The development of our children, their education, they're the town's future. They're gonna be sitting probably up on this board one day. Is a huge importance fiscally. I don't think that we can afford it right now, but I think, like everybody's saying, working with CMS to try and bridge that gap is gonna be a top priority.
Thank you. Mr. Long?
And I agree with most of what's been said. First, we know the funding is a great issue with CMS, but there's lots of money. We hold them accountable. That's our job as citizens. I would caution on excessive budget put toward a new school system. And we have really good public schools, excellent charter schools, and some parents choose the homeschool option. So there's choices in place. It's up to us to keep it excellent for our students.
Okay, our next question is, there seems to be two philosophies about how Mint Hill should move forward. Number one, keep Mint Hill quiet, a great place for families, keep taxes low, and limited development. The second part of the question is, add more things to Mint Hill, more shopping, more apartments and condos, more activities, even if it means raising taxes. Where do you stand? We're going to start with Mr. Long on that question.
Okay, thank you. Having lived here 40-plus years, I can relate to that. I remember riding my bicycle to Bain School and never having an automobile pass me. I can't imagine a student doing that now. So we are a thriving area, which many people want to live here. Having served on the planning board and spent time traveling around our state and especially other parts of the South looking at development. Development's coming. It's being spearheaded by people wanting to live here.
Okay, well, we're going to follow all the way back down to this end, so you're next, Mr. Holton.
Growth is inevitable, as everybody can tell, and I think that we need to offer more things here in town to keep people in town. As far as community activities, keeping the community here, because people are leaving the town and spending money outside the town because the town doesn't offer certain, recreational attributes around here.
Thank you, Mr. Healy. I'm sorry, Mr. Holton. Yeah, Ms. Healy.
I'm gonna have to echo the same thing. I mean, we're sitting next to one of the fastest growing cities in the country. The growth is coming whether we really want it or not. I think it's important that we get ahead of that and be proactive in deciding what we want that growth to look like so we can keep our town feeling small. I think doubling down on community activities and community involvement is how we do that. And I don't know any more track about it.
Mr. Dalton.
Yes, the growth is coming, and I counted today, I went down 51 from the roundabout to the end of 51. There's 23 parcels of land for sale here in that stretch of road. They're going to be developed. As far as what the commissioners and towns do, we do not create business. If people come to us and ask us for a business, at that time we can look at it. A lot of times people think that we control and like to have that, but we don't have that control.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Cochran.
And we have done the right things in the past. The board, the mayors, the citizens, and Mint Hill have chosen the right things to do, which makes people want to come to the town. And we're still hoping to do that same thing. And we're right on the outskirts of Charlotte. Charlotte's about the second best banking center, and I was in banking for 40 years. And it's drawing people to Charlotte. And so I think that if you're going to see Mint Hill grow on its own. We just have to have the controlled growth.
Thank you, Mr. Cochran. Ms. Kennedy.
I love this small town, and I love the sidewalks that we now have, and to where you can walk up and down on Main Street and R51. And I love that concept of growth will happen. I've been born and raised here. I've seen it from 2-lane streets to 4-lane streets. So smart growth, we need to look at how it's going to affect the traffic flow and things when business comes available or comes to us fast for whatever type business they're putting in. So smart growth is my main objective.
Okay, we'd like to have you finish your sentences, that's why we don't cut you off.
Oh, I just saw this.
Yeah, okay. All right, Ms. Trauner.
Since the growth is coming, it has to be smart growth, and one thing that I would want to do would be to look at our laws that allow by right building and see if we can take a little bit more control over what can be built where. We need to decide if we're going to let the smaller plots and the apartments and all that in, or if we're going to keep it larger lots. But to maintain a small town atmosphere is through community events, community involvement, which I think could be handled with the Parks and Rec Department and Economic Development Committee.
Thank you, Ms. Trauner. Mr. Simmons.
Intentional, proactive planning is what is necessary to control the growth that we're gonna have here in Mint Hill. One thing that I did disagree with the way the question was worded is the fact that growth leads to higher taxes. If it's controlled properly, done properly by government, that's not necessarily the case. We don't have to raise tax rates just because there's growth. So I think that we need to have proactive, intentional planning going on.
Okay, finally for this question, Mr. Newton.
I think we've done an excellent job of keeping things down. We get asked all the time for stuff that, to be built that we do turn down. It's not easy sometimes, but you can't take everything that comes to town. We've got to be smart about it, keep on the same path we own. We do want to stay a small town. I think as far as a lot of things, we would like to have a little bit more shopping and maybe some department stores, small ones, but I think it'd be great to have that small growth.
Okay, moving on to the next question. Prior to the last municipal election in 2011, what was the extent of your Mint Hill community involvement and or volunteer work? We're going to start with Mr. Holton on that question.
Prior to 2011, I was not a resident here prior to 2011.
I guess that answers that question. Okay, Ms. Healy.
I have the same answer. I hadn't moved here yet. I've been here for about 5 years, so I was busy volunteering with the Army at that time.
Well, you were here prior to 2011, though, both of you, right? I'm sorry, 2017, excuse me. My error there. I meant to say 2017, so we'll go back to Mr. Holton.
So we had moved here. I was working a sales job around and about. We had just purchased the business, so that's probably right around the time when we started getting planted in to the town of Mint Hill.
Okay, Ms. Healy?
All right, yes, I was here in 2017. At that time, I think I was just getting ready to open up my business. I was volunteering with PTA, my girls' schools. I was also helping out with the local swim club. And I live on a street that is super involved with each other, and we always work on a yearly haunted maze, and I worked on that stuff with them, and we do Christmas lights, and I'd help with that. I'd also started helping the admin in a couple of the local Mint Hill groups on Facebook.
Thank you, Mr. Dalton.
Pretty much the same as it is now. I was running for my second term as a commissioner and very involved in the communities and the clubs that I were in. The thing about if I join something or I'm a member of it, I'm very active in it. I don't join the club just to be a member of it.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Cochran.
I mentioned a while ago some of the things I'm involved with. I've been serving on nonprofit boards like the Senior Center in Matthews for 6 years. I served as the president of the Rotary Club. I've served as president and secretary of the Lions Club. I've been at Lions Club 40 years. Served on the Business Association board as president and secretary before it became the chamber. Served on the chamber board. This is my first term as a commissioner and a liaison with the chamber.
Thank you. Ms. Kennedy?
Yes, I've served on Independence High School, JROTC for the Air Force, as president and vice president. I was the chairperson for the PTSA, and then also from grade mother on through school, the other volunteer things we do for our children. I've been active in my church as far as raising money, whether it be for victims of a hurricane or other needs that the community.
Thank you, Ms. Kennedy. Ms. Tronier?
We moved here in 2006, and from that time, for the next 8 years while my kids were paying, I was a member of the PTA and the only member of the Cultural Arts Committee of the PTA, which means that I was given a budget of several $1,000s a year with which to bring in shows to entertain the kids. It was a great experience, and the kids always had a wonderful time. Since my husband and I were starting actually several businesses, my work was more in donations than in time, which I'm short of.
Thank you, Mr. Simmons.
In 2017, I was finishing my second term on the planning board. I had just done 7 terms on the Mid Hill Park and Rec Board. Before that, I did 14 years with the Athletic Association, serving in every position possible out there, from T-ball commissioner all the way to president of the association. 2017, I was also the acting president of the Kiwanis Club, and was serving on their chair for the golf committee, which is how we raise our money at the Kiwanis Club, and was serving as the stewardship chairman of my church. Thank you.
All right, and on this last question, Mr. Newton?
I served at my church, but I was in the hospital for the first part of 2017 due to illness, but I also, as soon as I got out and got healthy again, I started working, and I'm working currently on building a columbarium for our church.
Okay, moving on to our next question, and we're gonna start this question off.
Hold on.
Oh my God, I did it again. This is long. How could I forget you?
I was told once, you only make mistakes when you're doing something, so you're leading the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, briefly, I served in 2008 on the mayor's appointed library board with Mrs. Hull. At that time, the county was considering shutting down our Mid Hill Library, and we had many meetings to try to look at ways to bridge that, and that was quite insightful. In 1990 and then in 2000, I also volunteered as a planning board member on our 10-year plan. And as Mr. Simmons has mentioned, when some of us get elected, it'll be time to look at that again, the UDO, the 10-year plan for our town.
Okay, our next question. We're gonna direct this first to Mr. Simmons. What is your priority in properly fixing the 2 town parks and tennis courts? They continue to have cracks and need resurfacing.
Those are maintenance issues. I've been through both the parks recently, and they're really holding up pretty well for the age of the things. If we're talking about the asphalt, that's just a maintenance type thing, and I'm sure that that'll be handled in this year's budget.